Hello everyone, in this video I would like to give a review of the SMSL SH-9 THX AAA 888 module headphone amplifier. So the reason I got this amplifier is because I was previously using the Topping DX3 Pro Plus for a while, and there are two reasons. So I was using EQ Mac Pro, which is software equalization on my Mac, and it was pretty buggy, annoying to use, didn't like it. And finally, if I was watching really high dynamic range content, or listening rather, such as The Dark Knight, on really high bass sound pressure level scenes, the DX3 Pro Plus would go into protection. You can see on Audio Science Review's graph that below 20 ohms, the DX3 Pro Plus goes into protection under certain circumstances. And it was very annoying to have this issue and not something I wanted to have. And I guess you can see the size difference between the two. There's probably a lot more that can go inside the SH-9, I'm not sure. But we are using the THX technology. And if we compare the SH-9 to the DX3 Pro Plus, Amir didn't have his latest measurement type available when he measured the SH-9, but you can see for the SP400 in single-ended mode, which is essentially identical to this, we have zero clipping even down to 12 ohms up to 5, 6, 7 volts, and that's just based on what was inputted, right? Now, the question is, how does the SH-9 perform? With the balanced output, the SMSL SP400 has 11.6 dB of gain on high and 9.5 dB of gain on medium and 6.5 dB of gain on low, but for single-ended out, you have 0 dB of gain on low, 3.5 dB of gain on medium, and 5.3 dB of gain on high. So you have a bit of flexibility with the SP400, versus on the SH-9, you only have 0 dB, meaning unity gain, and plus 10 dB gain. Now, the reason why the 10 dB gain is a little bit useless here is because I am specifically using the Audeze LCD-5, which is a 14 ohm headphone. And if we look up how much voltage you should get from 4 VRMS input signal with 10 dB of gain, you can see that 4 volts of input and 10 dB of gain gives 12.7 volts of output, which is not possible for the SH-9. You can drop it down to 2 volts and you can see 6.3 volts output, which is possible for the SH-9. But interestingly, on low gain mode, there's no noise at all using the 1/4 inch headphone jack with the Truth Your Nova, but on high gain mode, there is noise at around 60 on the volume control with the SH-9. But I use it on low gain only, so how is that possible? How much power am I outputting with that? And the answer is 8 volts, because the DAC I am using, the Audeze T7-1, is capable of outputting 8 volts on its balanced output. So that's what I have in my setup currently. 8 VRMS output amplifier with an 8 VRMS output DAC. And you might be asking, why don't I just use the Audeze T7-1 if I'm just putting 8 volts in and getting 8 volts out? And that's a good question. The problem with the Audeze T7-1 is that it does not have much current output, so it can't actually get that loud for the Audeze LCD-5, and it does clip pretty easily. The SH-9 has no problem whatsoever. On low gain, it does not clip at all, and it has more power than the Topping DX3 Pro Plus. When watching The Dark Knight on the SMSL SH-9, I never encountered a clipping issue or a protection issue, which is what I was mainly concerned about. Now, there are some other really great features of the SMSL SH-9, such as that it has a resistor ladder volume control, meaning that the channel matching is perfect throughout. The range is 50 dB, which is enough, but you have like 100 steps, so I think it's probably around 0.5 dB per step. Sometimes, like, when you turn the volume knob, it does skip. I'm not sure why that is, but I think it's a pretty satisfying design. And another really great feature of this is that you can set it such that the screen turns off after a period between 5 and 60 seconds. I've set it to 15 seconds. You can see that it's off now. On the topping DX3 Pro Plus, even if you set it to auto turn off, or the screen to auto turn off, there would still be an input light. You see, I had to put tape there, which looks pretty bad and it's pretty ugly. I ordered the SMSL SH-9 through Amazon, and it was listed as brand new, but the one I got was apparently actually open box, and it didn't even have a remote. So I contacted Amazon support, and they fully refunded me and let me keep this package, and they fully refunded me and let me keep the SH-9, and Shenzhen Audio is kind enough to send me another remote as well. So I essentially got a free SMSL SH-9, which is pretty cool, and I could not be that much happier with the amplifier. The only nitpick I would say is that, like I mentioned earlier, sometimes the volume does not always... Like, I don't know how easy this will be to get on camera, but like you see, I just turned it right there, but the volume did not change. I'm not sure why this happens. It doesn't always happen. Yeah, see, again, it just happened. See, 2 times in a row. 3 times in a row. I think it probably depends on how you turn the volume knob. It's like a little bit annoying. I'm not entirely sure how the volume control works here. I know that if you use the remote, you can also control it, which is probably using some digital sensor or some optical sensor in there to tell if the wheel was turned. I don't know why it skips, but it's a pretty minor issue, I would say, and I wouldn't let it detract you from getting this amplifier if you wanted to. The reason I didn't get the SP400 or the SHX is because I knew that into a low impedance such as the Audeze LCD-5, there would be no benefit as long as I had enough input voltage, because the current delivery of these amplifiers is pretty similar. You can see that the SP400 in balanced mode, it clips at around 7 volts into 12 ohms. The LCD-5 is 14 ohms, so it's able to go higher. And also in high gain, I do get more loudness than on low gain with the 8 VRMS input, but near the top 98 to 99 with the 0 dB FS signal, I am able to get the amplifier to clip. But it does also go to show how good the LCD-5 is, that it's able to handle a full 8 VRMS input from the THX, or 8 VRMS output rather, from the SMSL SH-9 and not have any distortion or audible distortion. So, and more specifically why I got the SMSL SH-9, I really needed an amplifier with high current output, because to reach reference level bass with LCD-5 and harmony equalization, you need at least 4 VRMS of consistent voltage without the amplifier going into production. And the 8 VRMS output capability of my current setup definitely gives adequate headroom, and I must say I'm very satisfied with the SMSL SH-9, and I wouldn't recommend using this with really sensitive IEMs because there really is no point. You might as well just use something like an Apple dongle. This has way too much power than you'll ever need for an IEM, and you're really just wasting the potential this amplifier has. But you can technically use it in low gain unless your IEM probably has extremely high sensitivity. And I mentioned the remote earlier, but all functionality you can do can be done through the volume knob. You just have to hold it for around 2 seconds and you can adjust any of these settings. The only annoying thing is that it's a little bit finicky, like how long you have to hold this. For example, if I hold it down for too long, it will turn off the amplifier. But you don't really need to change the settings much, so it's pretty much like you set it up once and you're pretty much done unless you want to change your inputs or the gain setting. But yeah, the SMSL SH-9 cannot give a stronger recommendation.